Welcome back to part two of this two-part series. We've been setting up, giving this 1999 Les Paul Studio a bit of a makeover. And the previous part had a detailed look at leveling and crowning the frets. So that's all done. And in this part, we're going to take a look at deepening the slots in the nut to get nice action overall. Before I get into that, I've done some other things to this guitar in between the two videos. Given the whole guitar polish with some D'Addario detailer. A couple of applications of lemon oil on the fingerboard, which has revived it quite nicely, showing the grain nicely. I also replaced the bridge. As I said in the previous installment, the original Nashville Geomatic bridge, the low E saddle, I got a bit mangled with a slot, basically bashed into it in the wrong place. Now when I went to fit the new bridge, I had a moment of panic because it didn't fit. I couldn't get it onto the posts. I thought, oh no, I bought the wrong thing. But closer inspection revealed that one of the posts, one of the original posts, is actually bent. Now the posts that came with the Goto bridge don't fit. They're smaller thread than what's in the Gibson, but the bridge should have fitted. So I realised what's happened at some point. The guitar's had a bash here. That's what's done the damage to the saddle, but also it bent the post underneath. But I was able to convince the bridge to go on and get it sorted. So that's all's well that ends well. So I also strung the guitar. I sorted the switch that was in the wrong way around. That's not correctly positioned. Put some strings on. I used the existing bridge as a guide to set the intonation, so that's actually spot on. So yeah, now we're going to do the nut. Got my nut slugging files if they're ready. There we go. So we're going to take a more of a close-up look at that. Getting close, you can see what's going on. Okay, so here I've got a nice close-up view of the action here. Now, because the camera's sitting on tilt, it's going to get a bit wobbly if I knock things, but hopefully we'll manage. Now, I'm doing this with the camera in my line of view, so I might have to struggle a wee bit to work around it. I'll explain why doing this job, why this job is so important. There are count them three, aspects to getting a good playability on a guitar. One is the height of the bridge, the height of the saddle, to set the overall action. The other is neck relief, setting the truss rod correctly so that there's the right amount of concave bow in the neck. This guitar, for example, is set up with just a very minimal amount of relief. And the third is the height of the nut slots. And this is the one that's most often overlooked, I think. But it's also one of the ones that makes the most difference to the feel of the guitar. It makes a difference between a guitar that plays well to a guitar that plays beautifully. You know when a guitar feels right and you pick it up and the action is just, the strings can't disappear under your fingers. That is down to, in no small part, the nut slots, how well those are cut. Neck relief action, the action on the bridge, all that as well, but nut slots are very important. And there are two tools we need to get this right. One is a set of nut slugging files. There are cheaper versions of these available. There are those double-sided files that you see on eBay and Amazon. I haven't had good experience with those, but I know a lot of people use them. The other is a set of feeler gauges, which are a bunch of little blades of different thicknesses, from fractions of a millimeter up to other fractions of a millimeter. Some of them are so thin they're like paper. Others are fairly thick. And what we do with those, we use those to measure the clearance of the string over the first fret. And there are certain specific heights we're going for with that. The Dan Erlewine book, the Guitar Player Repair Guide, gives some details for this, and different companies' specifications. Gibson, for example, have Lower specified nut slot depth than Fender do. But I prefer to go lower than the specified guide. I don't go as low as Dan Irwine recommends, but I do go quite low. And we measure the clearance of the string from the first fret, or between the string and the first fret. So on the high E string, and I point 0.010 of an inch, which is, let me see, 0.10, 0.12. This one, 0.010 of an inch, same thickness as the string. And if I slide that under, you can hear that the string is ringing clearly, which means there's more than 0.010 of an inch. Quite a bit more than 0.010 of an inch between the string and the fret. So what I need to do is cut the nut slot, deepen the nut slot with a file until I can just barely get that gauge under the string, and it just starts to choke out the string. It's not a complicated process, it's just a matter of slacking off the string a bit. Obviously, you should say start with the guitar in tune and the neck relief set where I want it, because that's going to have an impact on things. So detune the string, take it out of the way, and I find my 0.10 file, one of these. There we are. Now, you'll see a difference in this file and the others. You can't actually get a 0.010 file in this kind. I'll use this one instead, because it's quite flexible. So you need to be careful. It'll be a danger as you go through the nut slot of it bending as you do, and you end up with a curve. You don't want that. So you need to sort of hold it straight like that, and then it's just a matter of it's basically a sawing motion. And that's probably shaking the camera, I apologise. You can see already I'm starting to cut into that. Now, what a lot of people do, and I do too, is towards the back of the slot, just tilt the file down a little bit, just to encourage the string to follow the right path. And the thing is to do very little at a time. You don't want to overshoot, you don't want to do too much. And as soon as we've done that, find my correct gauge again. And test. So when I hold it there, you can hear that that's still allowing the string to ring. Is closer, but not quite where we want to be. And again, it is important to do this, do the test with the string in tune, because as the string detunes, it slacks and kind of arcs over the nut rather than lying flat on it. So you'll get an accurate measurement. Again, just a sawing motion, holding the file straight. We go to tilt to the back. Once again, using the feeler gauge to check in progress. almost there, not far off at all. And it will take a few goes, 2 or 3 attempts to get it right. And it is important to be patient and take your time. You don't want to mess this up. Now, if you do happen to mess it up, it's not the end of the world. You don't necessarily have to replace the nut. There is a method. If you Google on YouTube, super glue baking soda, guitar nut, you'll see the esteemed Dan Earlywine illustrating how to fill a nut slot with a mixture of baking soda and super glue. Again, testing this. Still not quite there. Oh, can't pick up my file. There we go. Now it's important that at the point where the string leaves the nut, just there, that has to be straight out of the nut, because if you have that what you don't want is a downward curve as the string comes out of the nut, because you'll end up with a buzz there. But you keep it flat and straight, and then it'll dip to the back. That's very close. You can hear that is just beginning to interfere with the string. I'm going to take a tiniest bit more. Very, very little, just a nip more. This is one of those jobs that, a bit like the fret level and crown, just requires a bit of patience. It isn't something I'm particularly blessed with, I have to be honest, but yep, that's it. I'm just going to lift this and visually inspect it a little bit. Yeah. So, the string is still ringing nice and clearly. It's not buzzing off that fret, but it's much lower there. Now, I would advise doing this particular operation with the neck set about as straight as you'd ever want. You can't play a guitar with the neck completely straight. It always has to have a concave bow to some extent, but I would recommend doing this with the minimum relief you can get away with. The reason being that you're trying to cut that slot as low as it'll go without becoming a problem. And if you do it with too much of a concave bow on the neck, And then as seasonally the neck removes, straightens and bows and straightens and bows. As it moves back and straightens naturally with temperature and humidity changes, it could end up rattling off that first fret. So yeah, do this with the neck as straight as you can get away with. So 1 string down, 5 more to go. Now, I cut that knot slot depth to 0.010 of an inch, 0.10 of an inch clearance over the fret. And I then move up in 0.001 of an inch increments. So the second string, the B string, will be 0.011 of an inch, G string 0.012 of an inch, D string 0.13 of an inch, A string 0.14 of an inch to 0.015 of an inch for the bottom string. Now, same process for each string, just detuning, file, retune, check. So again, I'm going to slack the B string off, move it out of the way. And if I may, 0.13 of an inch file. These are Japanese made files, not sure of the brand name, but they're off eBay. Now what I'm also going to do is use a file brush and just make sure my cutting edges are clear of debris. The problem I've experienced is filing Graphtec tusk nuts that have the sort of lubricant baked into the nuts. They tend to clog the file quite badly. So you need to clean after those, so that those make a point of making sure these are clean, otherwise they won't cut very well. Now, this needs a fair bit taken out, so I'm going to go at it fairly aggressively. Again, there's still a bit of flexness, you want to hold it straight. This side cuts better. Okay, I'm just giving that a little bit of a dip towards the back. So straight on top, a bit of dip at the back. And I just want to check how we're doing. I'm going to check that second string. So I should have checked it before I started, but I want to set to 0.011 of an inch. So the string's not quite there yet. Not very far off at all, but not quite there. Again, checking with the feeler gauge. So you can hear the gauge at 0.011 of an inch is starting to interfere with the motion of the strings. That tells me that that is now set where I want, and I normally do a visual check as well. I don't know if you'll be able to see that on camera, but you should be able to see that the third string, which we haven't touched yet, is sitting visibly higher on the nut than the first and second strings. And it gives you an idea of where you are and how far you have to go. So the third string, I would set to 0.012 of an inch, I should have said. And again, same process, just pop it under the strings, and again, you can hear that string is ringing nice and clearly there. So that's how much that nut slot has to come down to get it where we want it. You can hear my dog barking. This goes somebody at the door. Better go and check. Excuse me, let's see what the dog was doing. Right, where are we? So now I want my 0.017 inch file. Same process as before. I know the slot has to go down quite a bit, so I'm gonna. So I'll do quite a bit before I check. Yeah, so it's better. Just gonna file just a bit of a tap now and again to dislodge any dust that's stuck in it. Right, let's give that a go. Okay, I appear to have been lucky and got that right first time. So, yeah, third string is where we want it. Happy with that. So, fourth string we're going to file to 0.013 of an inch. So again, going with the feeler gauge. So you can hear it's ringing clearly, it needs to come down. And this time it's a 0.026 of an inch file to match the string gauge. Now this string wasn't as far off as the others, so I'm not going to cut as much in the first go, I don't want to overshoot. And again, check with my feeler gauge. Try from the other side. Yep, that's where I want. Again, just a quick visual check as well. Yep. Get rid of all that dust. Now, fifth string, which we want to cut to 0.014 of an inch. Let's just check it. So that's ringing very clearly. Try to adjust it more from the bass side and the treble side. Again, detune. This one is the 0.36 of an inch file. Again, this one looks a little bit clogged, so I'm going to give it a quick brush. You'll find the thicker files, once you go into the wide strings, they cut a bit faster than the finer files do. So you need to kind of watch out that you don't go too far. Get another feeler gauge. Yep, that's where I want it. And a quick visual check. Yep. And the low E string, I'm going for 0.015 of an inch. Which we might not be very far away from. We might actually be there already without adjusting anything. Let's have a look close up and see. Yeah. So, just out of pure luck, the low E string is already at the height that I wanted at. Which means job done. Everything's sorted. And yeah, I hope you find that useful. And that was giving this very nice 1999 Gibson Les Paul Studio a bit of a makeover. We've leveled and crowned the frets, we've slotted the nut, and everything's just playing very, very nicely and sounding good. So I hope you found that useful, and if you did, do me a favour, give me a subscribe, give me a click on the like button, and I'll see you again.